Cobram Estate, Australia's most awarded extra virgin olive oil. Grown, harvested and first cold pressed in northern Victoria. On SEN Cricket, this is the new ball.
Yes, hello everybody. Welcome to the new ball for Cobram Estate, premium Australian extra virgin olive oil, all the way from Grenada. And over the last 3 days, it has been spectacular. The weather, we've just been waiting and waiting and waiting for the second test. It starts tomorrow, our time, and well, let's just hope that the weather stays the way it is at the moment. I'm Adam White and I'm joined by Bharat Sundaresan as we go through all the build-up to the second test here from a spectacular cricket ground. Bharat, welcome.
Welcome, Whitey. It's been quite a few days we've had in Grenada, and that's clear for you, right? It's Grenada.
Grenada. You noticed I didn't say Grenada.
I know. I was
Grenada.
very impressed. Yeah, we're here at the unoriginally named National Stadium, but it used to be called something else back in the day. But it's pretty as a picture. I mean, from where I'm sat, I can see Mount Rush in front of us. So it's they say mount. It's more like a hillock, and there are a lot of houses.
So how do they? I know this is radio, but how do they get to these houses that are perched on the side of the mountain?
Very good question. I think you can see some very steep pathways up and down, and we've been on some steep. I think my calves and my bottom half has really grown in terms of muscular strength. I generally have.
So your legs have grown in muscle strength, and my stomach's grown even further because of buffet breakfast.
That's true. No buffet breakfast.
No, I'm trying to.
That's correct.
Barbados was a write-off.
No, but it's been marvelous just coming to a new island, a lower profile island in the Caribbean. You could say that's why they haven't had a lot of cricket. Ever. 4 test matches in the space of 20 years between 2002 and 2022. But just traveling around this island, even our way to the stadium with the Caribbean Sea to your left for most of it, and then the marina with the fancy yachts everywhere, and the rainforest not too far. You can always spot a rainforest in the distance, and I've done a lot of sightseeing on foot. Not so much sightseeing, but just my kind of sightseeing, which is walking through the streets.
And I've been doing the same, which is, it's very normal behaviour for you, but it's very abnormal behaviour for me.
I know,
it's eye-opening, but I think it's important to do it, to not... And I talked about this on the Brekkie show yesterday. It's very easy to sit in the beautiful hotels.
Yeah.
And it's an Americanized sort of feel to it, and spectacular beaches, beautiful food, all that sort of thing. But that's not really getting the full experience of what Grenada or what even Barbados is like. And I went through the spice markets, never been through them before. Street food, cooking, sweet corn on the... I've bought some beautiful star fruit, all sorts of different things that I would never have done in my past. So what I'm saying to you is, what's this like compared to some of the other countries you've been to? Because you've been to so many to the cricket. What's this like? Is there similarities with other countries?
There definitely is. I mean, just the main centre itself, you could easily be in St. John's in Antigua, or in St. Vincent, or even some parts of St. Lucia. I mean, St. Lucia is a slightly bigger island and slightly more developed in that sense, or large parts of St. Lucia are anyway. But there are a lot of similarities. Very different to Barbados, where tourism clearly is the number one really income maker for Barbados. Their GDP, Tony Cozier, the late great Tony Cozier, used to tell me, would at times double every time England played a test match, just because of the revenue the English brought. And just even speaking to a few local Bajans there, they were very happy that the test match finished in 3 days, so that the 2,000 odd Australian travellers or Australian fans who are in the Caribbean at the moment could spend. They did, because that's what you do in Barbados. So compared to that, this is, like you said, the spice markets. Grenada is called the Spice Island for a reason. The production of nutmeg in particular, mace as well, but nutmeg, they even have a big nutmeg on their flag, which kind of tells you how important it is to everything Grenadian. But yeah, I mean, I've been obviously, I've gone past just the markets in the streets. I've been going to bars, like I told Jared last evening, bars that you go to only if you look like me. But however, I have taken a couple of our Australian colleagues with me. So
I'm
and
not
I just
brave
had
enough to quite go down.
Maybe not. Maybe next time, Whitey. We'll take it one step at a time. But
That's right.
so so it's got that kind of cool vibe. And the beaches are just sensational. Grand Anse, where I was staying earlier before I moved in with you guys, which is close to where the team is. It's just stunning wherever you look. And it's. I was telling the taxi driver this morning. I said, there's not one bad view wherever you go in Grenada. Yeah. It looks spectacular from all vantage points.
All right, let's get straight to the news now for Belgravia Apparel for quality New Balance cricket teamwear. And it's pretty obvious, Steve Smith, that was the talking point yesterday for Australia's main training session. Take us through it, because it was quite a turn of events, because everyone was watching him, whether it be the media, whether it be his teammates, coaches. Take us through the whole process.
Well, it started with Steve Smith walking to the back where they have two nets, not the best pitches, but he had to wait. Sam Konstas made him wait, and he was getting a little edgy. He kept asking him how much longer, and then finally young Konstas said 10 minutes more, and it's like, and then he realized it wasn't 10 minutes, it was 10 balls, and he was happy again. And then he finally walked in, because I think he just wanted to feel bat on ball, a proper cricket ball that is. I know he has had a couple of sessions against the tennis ball in New York. Just put the glove over the hand with the new splint, the slightly smaller splint on. Played a fearsome cut shot to start off the session. I thought he batted okay and went through his routines. He didn't bat for too long yesterday. He spent maybe 15-20 minutes at the back, then came here to the center wicket, to the middle of the oval, to the stadium, and faced Hazelwood and Stark and Boland. Again, not very long sessions, and in between sessions kept checking on his splint and how his pinky finger was feeling. But then I think the bigger kind of focus was on his fielding, where he had spoken in Barbados about how he's never fielded outside slip except a couple of times on the boundary, maybe during the Lord's Test 2023 when we were on together, the Ashes Test when Australia went for the short ball ploy. So just to see where he'll be comfortable, and they were just like balls being lobbed at him by Andrew McDonald, and then he needed some more tape on the finger. They tried slips briefly to the spinner, not for too long, and they tried lobbing a few balls up in the air to see how he was catching it. So there was some doubt from some viewers or some people at the ground whether, does that mean he'll play or not? And just looking at the way he was nodding, and we have some special nods, as you know, Whitey, me and him. And he just looked so confident that he almost desperate that he wanted to play. So I think it was more a case of, and I told Jared last evening as well, case of like not so much of whether he can play or not, or where they fit him into the field. And today he was smashing the ball. He hit a couple of balls into the Kirani James National Stadium, which is next door to us. Kirani James, obviously, I have to say, we'll talk about him more through the course of the Test match. The biggest superstar here in Grenada, won 2 gold medals across 2 Olympics and the 400 meters, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So he smashed a couple of balls there, and he was very happy with himself. Took a few catches, and there you go. He was ready to return to the squad, and just one change. So Josh Inglis, who took over number 4 for one Test, drops out.
What I loved about it, Bharat, was when he went from the outdoor nets into the centre wicket practice, the purpose of the way he strided to the middle. He was really ready, and that, I think that said a bit about whether he should be playing or not. And we'll get to that shortly. He really wants to play, yeah. And I know that's only body language, but he was really souped up just for a training session to prove that, hey, I'm here and I'm here to make a difference. So that was certainly the news for Belgravia Apparel in partnership with New Balance, delivering high performance teamwear to the BBL and to the WBBL. So as Bharat said, one change as finalised by Pat Cummins today at his press conference. We'll hear from Pat a little bit later on in the program, but Smith in, Inglis out. Ball 1. Should he be playing still? Now, we know he can play, but we know he's not 100%. Is it a missed opportunity that it's not another chance for Josh Inglis, considering they're 1-0 up in the series and they do look to have the West Indies measure, albeit it was close for 2 days? Do we need to be having him at fine leg and mid-on just almost? It's not a sign of desperation. It's because Steve Smith's one of the best players in the world.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Do we need to rush it?
I think I don't look at it as rushing it. It's just a case of how he's feeling about his batting, because he's not going anywhere anytime soon. So you need him for the Ashes, and you just want to make the most of whatever you're going to get from Steve Smith, because who knows, maybe he's got 6 months left in his Test career, maybe he's got 12 months left, maybe he's got 18 months left, but you don't want to when you know that he can play, and in Test cricket, if it was T20 cricket or white ball cricket, it is often challenging to hide fielders or put them in positions where you think they have the lowest risk in terms of balls being smashed in their direction. So I think once that was cleared, once he was keen and he felt he really didn't seem to have any issues with his pinky finger while batting, and once that was clear, almost like he wanted to prove a point today, he was smashing balls, like I said, at the back. I thought there was no question but for him to come back, because Josh Inglis is not your long-term number 4. I think if Steve Smith was an opener, and then maybe I'm just thinking of scenarios where they would have said maybe one more, like say Steve Smith was coming in for Sam Konstas, for example. They might have said maybe let's give Sam Konstas another go. But the fact that number 4 is going to be Steve Smith till the end, and I can't see Josh Inglis being that number 4 once Steve Smith leaves. And in all likelihood, I can see Manas Labuschagne coming back into this side or someone else. But right now, you just focus on playing Steve Smith. And also the fact we spoke about last week, the series is not won. 1-0. It would take a brave selector to leave out Steve Smith from a squad when he's ready and there, and then to lose a test match, and then put yourself in a position where you have to win the final one to qualify. And don't forget, these are all World Test Championship points, and these teams talk so often about the importance of winning away from home. Not just series, but every test match.
You know what? You've won me over with that argument.
Finally. It took me two goes at it.
I wasn't sure, but even the way you've said it, I think what you've just said then about, because it's Josh Inglis, who, if he was to play on a regular basis, it's probably at 5 or 6. Yeah. So I think that's a fair call. I think that's fair. And you're right, the series isn't won, but there is this element of I want this to be as much about the ones that aren't regularly in, to see who's who in the zoo. And we kind of got that glimpse in the first test. Correct. I think we can sort of either cancel out or put up and say, no, you're not quite ready, or it's, you're definitely in the mix for the Ashes. It was just an opportunity, I guess, more than anything else, not to rush Smith, Mac. But I think that's fair. All right, let's get on to ball number 2. Now, ball number 2 is all about Konstas and Green. Now, we watched both of them train yesterday, and I thought it was really interesting how long they spent in the middle, particularly Cameron Green. Now, at one point, Cameron Green, he spent a lot of time out there in the middle defending, doing all the right things, and then he decided that he was just going to start hitting bombs. He was hitting sixes all over the place. And I don't know whether he was trying to freeze mind or freeze arms. I'm not sure what he was trying to do. But you made an interesting point to me yesterday about how it's not usual for Cameron to bat as long as he did. And I just wonder whether they're really working as hard as they possibly can to get this right, both Sam and also Cam.
No, I think Cam, what I meant was before this season. I mean, he wasn't the Steve Smith of the team who would just bat forever. But ever since he's come back into the side, not just at Lords, even last year when he came back into the side after the injury which kept him out of a couple of test matches in New Zealand, or when he came back in New Zealand, or for the New Zealand series, or just before then for the West Indies series, he's just become that guy who will have a long hit, go away, and then come back. And he seems to have added to it since he's come back this year for the World Test Championship final. And even the fact that he was hitting those bombs towards the end of the innings, that seems to be a new trend for him. He did that in their first session here in the Caribbean at Windward Club down on the southern coast of Barbados, where, funnily enough, last year it was T20 cricket, where Australia did have a session at that same ground, and he was smashing balls onto the road last year as well. So maybe it's just something about the West Indian air that makes him feel like he has to hit these big shots. We haven't seen him do that in the 4 innings so far on his return, and 4 innings at number 3, definitely not the 2 innings last week. But yeah, I think he's just feels like it. You just get this feeling that he wants to get it right.
Yes,
he's always been a over batter. He's always been one of those who spends a lot of time in the nets, but he really seems to have overdone it. And he was the only batter up alongside Sam Konstas in the playing 11 even last week who came out and had a hit. And he was here again today. Sam Konstas, for a change, wasn't here today, but Cameron Green was having yet another hit. It wasn't the longest, but he's just become that guy.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting. And just a quick one on Sam. We've spoken so much about him, and I feel it's obvious that the test finished early, bigger gap to the next one. We are tending to talk about similar things. So I understand that for people that are listening. But, just looking at Sam around the group, you watch him closer than anybody. Do you see any difference? Do you feel that he's he's carrying a bit of weight of expectation or pressure, or is it still the Sam Konstas that we know?
I think it's still the same Sam Konstas that we know, though. Maybe it's just me. Just looked a little serious in a good way. I mean, not tense.
Focused.
Very focused is a better way of putting it. Like even at the back, like I said before, Steve Smith replaced him. And then when he went out to the middle and you saw him bat for a long period of time against throwdowns, against the bowlers, there seemed to be... that extra layer of focus for sure, where he seemed to be zoning into what he wanted to do. Not that he was being frivolous at all before then. And I said it last week as well. Don't get swayed away by what he puts up on social media. He works bloody hard on his game. But I think there was just something extra here. There weren't no jokes. He wasn't constantly chattering away to anyone. He was really in his zone. So probably it's a sign that he realizes as well. And I guess he's 19. He's growing up very quickly because of playing Test cricket at such a young age. Maybe it's just a sign of maturity.
All right, there's balls 1 and 2. It is the new bowl for Cobram Estate Premium Australian Extra Virgin Olive Oil. We'll take a break here from Grenada and we'll come back with more right after this.
Cobram Estate, Australia's most awarded extra virgin olive oil. Grown, harvested and first cold pressed in northern Victoria. On SEN Cricket, this is the new ball.
It is the new ball. We are in Grenada ahead of the second test. And you're with Adam White and also Bharat Sundaresan for Cobram Estate Premium Australian Extra Virgin Olive Oil. All right, we went and had a look at the pitch.
We did.
Just before we started this program. Sneaky sort of covert sort of operation. What'd you see? This is ball 3.
Oof, dry ass, this pitch.
Didn't look like that yesterday.
No, it didn't. There was a bit of green on it. And I'm not sure who those two gentlemen are who are walking towards the pitch. And all I can say is I don't think they're supposed to be there. They look like
they
two
look like they just
fans.
come from the pub.
I know. I just hope they don't get onto the pitch. I get a little worried when this is live reporting, by the way. It's all fine if it is before the test match, and
they have come from the pub.
They have really come from.
There would be a pubby,
local bar like a rum shack. Yeah, you just don't get on the pitch, guys. Just don't get on the pitch.
Where have they come from?
I don't know. And this is this is sadly at times the part where, you have no security here and. Yeah, I mean, I think he's trying to do a pitch report. I know. I mean, just till the time they just stay off the pitch. I'm sorry, well, they are live reporting to
they're taking
fans
selfies. Here we go. Someone's coming over now saying, "I'm not sure you're supposed to be here."
Yeah,
they're actually on the pitch.
They're on the pitch.
All right.
Anyway, on the pitch.
Anyway,
well, I don't know what the pitch is. I don't know what the pitch is going to look like once they're done with it. But yeah, yesterday there was a bit of green, fresh grass on it. And we thought it could well be a surfer. And speaking to a couple of the curators, they said, yeah, it's going to be a lively. But, whatever life that was seems to have been sucked out of it. Because there is a bit of, a bit of smattering of green or whatever on top of it, but not a lot of it. But it just looks so dry. And I've said it a few times the last 2 days, because they don't water these pitches as much as regularly as you do in Australia and England, it's kind of left to bake, if that makes sense. And with the sun so sharp in this part of the world, the sun's going to beat down on it. I think there's some weather around on day 3 or day 4 onward. Maybe some thunderstorms. We don't know. This is hurricane season in this part of the world. But hopefully all that stays away.
Hopefully.
I said it too casually, didn't I? I was stuck in the hurricane last year. Eye of the hurricane in Barbados after the final, but at T20 World Cup final. So the sun's going to beat down on it. And my reading of the pitch is that it's going to be, I wouldn't call it flat, I'll call it dry. And what we might see is probably a little bit in it for the fast bowlers for the first 25 minutes, not even the first 25 hours, or maybe the first session or so. But from that point on, this pitch is going to slow down and really slow down to the extent where it could be one of those pitches where run scoring becomes difficult, so does wicket taking. But there will be cracks which will open up. You'd think there are some spots where you already think that it might open up. You said it looks like a pitch where you might see in club cricket. And if that happens, I think the tall Aussie fast bowlers, like they did last week, that was a more dramatic pitch because of the thatchy nature of the grass. But if that happens, I think I'm sure that the Aussie Aussie fast bowlers will have a say in it as the game progresses. And the only reason I say that is you might think, hang on, it's going to be low and slow. Why don't you play the second spinner? But the kind of spinner Kuhnemann is, he needs some bite off the pitch. I don't think he'll have any bite. So it'll be more the fast bowlers bowling straight, attacking the stumps, and testing out the techniques of the West Indian batters, which so far on view has been pretty substandard.
Yeah, I was really surprised going out there and having a look at it today, just how much it had changed. It was, you can actually start to see some of the cracking under the surface of the grass already. So, and it has been really hot here the last 3 days. So we'll just have to wait and see what takes place. I think the other part of it too, Brad, is this outfield.
Yeah.
It's very spongy and it's quite long. And so two things happen in that situation. Obviously, the outfield's going to be slow. So, again, there's going to be lots of running. But even from a bowling point of view, if the batting team can keep the bowlers out in the field for a day and a half, heavy legs come into play really quickly. So, that's the whole thing about better for longer, try and fatigue the opposition. That could really come into play as well, because it's not only hot, but it's obviously very humid.
Oh, you play the slow game. We've seen a lot of pitches like this in the subcontinent. There's this feeling that we've started seeing, obviously, in the last 3 or 4 years or 10 years, maybe more turning pitches in India. But these are the kind of pitches you would see in large parts of India where it would be a slow grind, and often that game would pick up speed only towards the end of the test match. Once those cracks start showing up.
An Indian featherbed.
And there have been a lot of Indian featherbeds. Ask Greg Blewett. He's here, isn't he? Ask him about the 600 India made in Calcutta in 1998. Or even Pakistan. I think this pitch looks more like a Pakistan pitch to me. And even the square, it's kind of abrasive. And we saw no reverse swing at all in the last test. So, but with just this Duke's ball, maybe it doesn't go off completely where you end up with a ball which is suitable for reverse swing. But it could be a slow burn kind of test match, this one. But again, that still requires the batters, and there are some underfiring batters in both teams, to really make the most of the lack of pace and make the most of it, because it's not going to be very straightforward. I'd be surprised if it's one of those pitches where the one we saw at Leeds last week in England for that test match, where you can just come and go bang, bang, bang.
It's so local time now, it's 20-6. So obviously less than 24 hours out from the first ball, and people are going to be listening to this at different times. They're rolling the pitch again, quite late in the day.
Very late in the day.
It's very unusual sort of behaviour. There's no sort of covers to be seen or anything like that, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groundskeepers out there at the moment, all doing varying different roles. There's one there with a blower. One's just sort of sitting down. There's one on the roller. There's one massive roller. It's like a steamroller that hasn't been used, as far as I'm aware, in this in the build-up to this match. But they certainly do it their own way. That is fine. So that's the pitch, and so it goes to ball. Yeah,
and just on the outfield, we saw a couple of spots which you and I'm so used to mowing lawns back home in the Adelaide Hills. I almost wanted to bring the mower out.
Yes.
Yeah, they had this very weedy field in there.
It did. It didn't feel like a test venue, let's be honest. You know what else I saw plenty of yesterday? Iguanas.
Oh, they're all over the place. They are just scurrying across the outfield.
And they're quick. I was trying to take a photo, and as soon as you get close, they're gone.
Well, we saw an injured pigeon, and some people did ask us in the text line what the status on the injured pigeon was. I'm just going to stick my neck out and say,
protocol.
Yeah, I think it's gone through it and it's ready for action.
Oh,
again.
really?
So, yeah, I think
okay.
so. Yeah, it'll be ready for the next first-class match. Might have to play a game before getting back up for Test cricket. But I will be surprised if a ball doesn't hit an iguana during this Test. There are just so many of them.
I know.
They're just everywhere. I've never seen so many on a cricket ground, or anywhere.
I wasn't sure how big iguanas were because I've never seen one. I thought they'd be a bit bigger than that. They're sort of like that rubber toy you get in a show bag at the Royal Melbourne Show or something like that. But they certainly move very, very quickly. So just continuing on ball 3 before we get to ball 4, you touched on it. You didn't think there was a situation where they'd potentially make a late change and bring Kuhnemann in. Is this going to make it harder for the West Indies to win if the pitch is that flat, that their advantage is their bowlers? So surely they would create a pitch that would give their bowlers a chance to get Australia out cheaply twice rather than a pitch that Australia could make 450 on, where the West Indies I still don't think would make 450.
Yeah, you'd think so. I mean, I think I'll put my hand up and say maybe we got the pitch reading wrong in Barbados because we didn't get up close like we did today, so we didn't see the thatchy grass.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did?
And it was. So you have the bare patches, and then you have the thatchy sort of centre out of cooch that was
correct.
So if it hit that was when it was flying, and when it missed that, when it was
just
shooting.
going down. And once that was burnt off, it was just like going up and down. Yeah, this one looks pretty. Even.
Yep.
Yeah, even for now, but just those cracks already beginning to show under the surface. So, and over there, the top just came off towards the end, like what West Indies were bowled out in a session. The top just completely came off. I think that won't happen here. I think it'll just die down, this pitch, and the pace of the pitch will just almost fall off the hill once we get towards the end of day 3 or day 4. Two ways of looking at it. I mean, you can say that West Indies are actually used to playing more first-class cricket on these kinds of pitches, the slow grind. You look at scores in first-class cricket here, with spinners bowl a lot of overs, but the spin bowlers like a Roston Chase or a Jomel Warrican. And it was interesting to hear Roston Chase talk about how they might consider bringing in an extra fast bowler, which is Anderson Phillip for Jomel Warrican, because Roston Chase bowls quite regularly. But I'd be surprised if they take that call once they look at this pitch tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I think Warrican would be important here. He could easily bowl 40, 50 overs.
Easy, yeah. I mean, Nathan Lyon will have to bowl quite a bit as well, you'd think.
Yes, and now that's one of my... In fact, let's go to that now. Let's go to ball 4 now. Nathan Lyon. He hasn't had much of a bowl, really. It was certainly in the first test here, and even at Lords didn't get to do very much. Kind of feel like that this is his test match. I mean, because he's had an interesting build-up to here, because he's given the song across to Alex Carey, which is no indication that he's ready to give up.
On that, yeah.
But I still think he needs a good test match. I'm not suggesting he's spotting the teams under threat by any stretch of the imagination, but I kind of feel like he just needs a test match where he can actually be a big part. And this looks like it could be one of those tests.
Could be, yeah. I mean, almost you want to see Nathan Lyon bowl 30 overs. Like, it hasn't happened much of late. Obviously, he didn't have to bowl much at all during the home summer. The least number of overs he's bowled through a home summer. And went to Sri Lanka, and, in the first test he had Murphy and Kuhnemann. And then he had a bit of Cooper Conley, but Kuhnemann bowled so much, and those games were played. They weren't as rapid as what we saw in 2022, but still, he wasn't bowling really long spells where Nathan Lyon could really come into the game.
And he was the man.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he wouldn't mind a test match where he ends up bowling close to 60, 70 overs across both innings and ends up with a big bag. And I think it's just confidence thing, really, isn't it? And he's not too far away from going past Glenn McGrath's record as well, and then 563 wickets, is it? And then becoming the second, or just have Shane Warne in front of him at 708 test wickets to go past. So, so it's, and a few milestones coming up for a few others as well. Josh Hazlewood is on the cusp of taking his 300th wicket. Mitchell Starc will be playing his 99th test match. And the people are back trying to take pictures of this pitch. I'm not a big fan of this.
He's gone back.
I don't know why. I know these things get romanticized a lot. Oh, it's
they didn't do much rolling just quietly either. Yeah, he rolled it for about 3 minutes and he's off.
I know, exactly. So
I thought there'd be an ICC security
that's
type
the thing.
person
here.
I
know. I would like to. Yeah, I know. Anyway, if you're listening to this, like, I'm all for fans floating around and coming to cricket grounds and all of that, but just because you're not in Australia or England or India, don't take the mickey out of, just because you're in a relatively smaller country doesn't make you take advantage of it. I don't know. Just my plea. I'm a nice guy, so it's just my plea to you. I mean, come and enjoy the cricket. There's so much because this takes one person to put something up on social media, and tomorrow if someone else comes and does something, untoward, it just kind of ruins.
Yeah.
The mood. Anyway, I digress.
They're watering the pitch now.
They're watering the pitch now. So this will be the last time they water it, I think, for the next 5 days.
So that's Nathan Lyon, and I'm putting together this ball sort of part A, part B, with Alex Carey becoming the man for the song. Now, I don't really, to be honest, I'm not really fussed on the song. It's a player's thing.
It's a player's
thing. They do their thing, and I'm still a little don't understand it totally. They take it very seriously. Good luck to them. That's their thing. We never played Test cricket to understand all the significance of it. But what I did want to talk about is the significance of Alex Carey getting it in how he's seen in this team. Because, let's be honest, we've had a situation where Alex Carey and Josh Inglis have been in the same team as two wicketkeepers. White ball cricket, it's Josh. Red ball cricket, it's Alex. I just want to say that the last 2 years of Alex Carey in the Australian team in Test cricket has been brilliant. And there was a time there where he was really just on the edge for whatever reason to keep his spot, the speculation that maybe Josh Inglis is better. But what he's done in the last sort of 18 months has been outstanding. And even the way he batted in that second innings where he took the game away from the West Indies, the spectacular catch he took, these sorts of things, it just shows how entrenched he is in this team and what a popular member of the team he is. We know him. Yeah. He's a very likeable person. But he's also very respected for the way he plays the game and the way he is with his teammates.
Oh, completely. And this is not the first time he's been handed the song. Many things happened at Lord's in 2023, but one of the things that did happen was because Nathan Lyon got injured, and we remember his heroics batting on one leg and the way he had bowled before he got injured as well. But as he was leaving, he had handed the song to Alex Carey. It just so happened that Australia didn't win any of the remaining three tests in Leeds, Manchester, or the Oval. So that is what that meant that Alex Carey never got a chance to sing the song before. Last week he did it in Barbados, and you're right. I mean, 2023. It felt like he batted well in the WTC final, batted well in the first test in Henley, and batted well at Lord's. And then there was the Johnny Bairstow incident happened. Today for us, the 2-year anniversary. So Daniel Cherney and I bumped into him and we congratulated him on a happy anniversary. He's like, I can't believe that it's only been 2 years. It feels like much longer.
To us, it feels. It feels less.
Oh, really? Well, I think. I've always had this theory that the actual calendar and the cricket calendar don't go hand in hand. Yeah. At least for us who travel regularly, you just go from 2 to 2 to 2. So I can tell you where I will be this time next year, but I don't know how long that is between now and then. So I think it's the same for cricketers as well, I guess, who travel all the time. But yeah, I mean, he from Christchurch onwards, which a career-saving innings. And a match-saving innings to take Australia from 5 for 90 odd to a big target when it felt for all money that New Zealand were finally going to get the better of Australia. I've never heard Kiwis sound as loud as they did that day at the Hagley Oval in Christchurch. So from that point onwards, he's really become the guy. I mean, for the Australian selectors and his teammates, he was already the guy. But we saw him in Sri Lanka, just the amount of work he puts in, Whitey, the coming to the ground half an hour before everybody else, doing his wicket-keeping drills, even at times when he's been batting. He made that 152 not out. Overnight, he was unbeaten, and he still came. He batted in humid conditions, still came and did his wicket-keeping work, and then resumed his innings. I mean, he's just the ultimate professional. And just then to go back and lead Sheffield or South Australia to that Sheffield Shield win. And I remember posting a picture on social media. Someone reposted it a couple of days ago. Maybe half an hour after the celebrations, the shield had been lifted. The rest of the team was upstairs in the balcony at the Karen Rolton Oval, in the bar upstairs. The celebrations had started, but he came down with his children in tow just to meet the fans, and that is Alex Carey in a nutshell. He's just that guy, and just to again, I can sit here and sing songs about Alex Carey for the next few hours. But even today, after we had that chat, Steve Smith was batting in the net, and there was a tiny little hole at the back of the net. The last thing he told us was, guys, just be a little careful. There's a little hole in the net. The ball might come at you. That's just...
He's perfect. That's what he is.
He just is. He just is. So, and now, what did Nathan Lyon say? Now, Alex Carey has said that he can sing the song whenever at whatever time he wants. So he's going to... that's how he's going to go about it. Because each Australian legend, I think there are only legends who had the song so far, who had the responsibility of doing it, have done it their own way, but this is going to be the Alex Carey way.
All right, we're 4 balls through the new ball for Cobram Estate, Premium Australian Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Ball 5 will be Pat Cummins. Ball 6 will be the West Indies. We'll do that next.
Cobram Estate, Australia's most awarded extra virgin olive oil. Grown, harvested and first cold pressed in northern Victoria. On SEN Cricket, this is the new ball.
Yes, it is the new ball from our friends at Cobram Estate, premium Australian extra virgin olive oil. We appreciate their support right throughout the course of our trip to the Caribbean. Bharat, earlier on today you caught up with Pat Cummins. Before we go to that interview, was he in a good mood?
Pat's always in a good mood. Always happy to have a chat. So, yeah, we chatted about a few things after the interview as well, which I'll share with you off air. But no, he was in a good mood. Even in the press conference beforehand, a bunch of us asked him about just coming to Grenada, and I think the thing he said was, he hasn't had a lot of time to study a lot about the place, but he's excited to be here and enjoyed speaking to the locals, including the chef at the team hotel, telling him that he made cooked fish for Ricky Ponting and Matthew Hayden way back in 2007 when they came here for the World Cup against New Zealand.
Isn't it interesting, though? We're talking about this at the start of the show about how we have the ability to be able to go through the streets and see all these sorts of things.
Yeah.
They can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be able to, but there is an element of even if it's just if they're harassed or whatever. But I don't think they get the true experience that they probably should get.
No, I mean, especially where they're staying right now, it's the all-inclusive one.
Yes.
Like, you can all. I mean, I've never stayed at one, but I know how these function. Yeah, once you're in there, you're in there. So, it's a pity. But I guess they still, if they want to, can see a lot more of these kinds of places or these kinds of islands than, say, when they go to the subcontinent, where they literally cannot leave the team hotel unless they go with extreme security. So, I mean, they're still, like in Barbados, you would see them floating around here and there. Here as well, not to the kind of bars I went to, but maybe if the test match does finish early, you might see them out and about on one of those fancy beaches, or maybe they'll want to go and see some of the waterfalls or the spice markets. So some of them are still here with partners, I think. Yeah,
I'm keen to go to the waterfalls. There's also a chocolate factory which I'm keen to go to.
Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be really, because don't forget, this is still one of the few countries in the world where still they grow cocoa.
Yeah, no, that's definitely me. So if it finishes early, if you want to go there, I'm coming. All right, let's listen to Pat Cummins with Bharat from earlier today.
Pat Cummins, thank you so much for speaking to SEN Test Cricket. You just spoke a lot about Grenada there. It's fun coming to a place that very few people know anything about, and to just take a bit of the island in before the Test match starts.
Yeah, that's right. None of us have been here before. It's a beautiful ground. Seems like a beautiful island. It's a pretty short turnaround. We only got here kind of less than 48 hours ago, so haven't explored as much as we'd like. Never know, maybe a quick finish and we can spend a couple of days exploring the island.
Well, I mean, speaking of quick finishes, that was Test match on Test cricket on Fast Forward. You haven't really taken a look at the surface here, but there's not a lot of history to go by. So what have you made of the conditions out there in the middle?
Yeah, haven't had a look today. Yesterday looked like a pretty good wicket, 48 hours out. But again, you never quite know what's kind of underneath the surface. But there's a bit of grass, and we'll kind of get into it, and the key is to kind of adapt, see if it's going to be a long test and drawn out, or whether you need to be pretty sharp straight away.
And speaking of adapting, obviously Steve Smith is back in this side, but we'll come to his batting, but just feeling, I mean, he tried different things yesterday and then more tape on his finger. He's spoken about never having not fielded in the slips in Test cricket, so it'll be something new to adapt for him as well.
Yeah, that's right. He spent a bit of white ball time running out on the field, so he probably won't be able to field in the slips this Test match. Maybe a little bit for spin, but kind of risk-reward, would rather give that finger another week. You might see him at mid-off or maybe fine leg or on the boundary. So that's the plan for day one. Whether he gets bored out there and wants to try and be a short cover or something, we'll wait and see.
And just with his batting, I mean, what he brings to that top four, because it was not easy batting last week, and to have three inexperienced players sort of in different positions, just to have him back just gives you that more comfort in a way.
I think, any side that Steve Smith's in is a better side for it. Averages close to 60 and scored runs all over the world. So having that guy who can think on his feet, just the class, kind of in the middle order is a huge asset. And he's kind of had a week off and he's come back fresh and ready to go.
Rehabbing in New York, but that's apparently the modern trend.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he got over there and I think he was batting in a baseball cage or something. But, the week before in Lords he looked in great touch, so I'm sure he'll be ready to go.
Just on the last Test, Pat, and the top order, it felt like from 5 to 11 onwards, you got what you expect from Trav and you guys as well, and Kez and Webster. But just the question marks around that top order. Is it just a case of stay patient and see how they come good as the series progresses?
Oh, of course. It's very rare that you get a test match where everyone's scoring runs and taking wickets, and the top three kind of missed out last test, but that happens sometimes. It's not an easy time to bat. So of course, they're backing them in. Particularly Greeny and Semi Konstas. They're quite young. Haven't played over here in the West Indies before either. So back them in. They're training well. They're saying all the right things. So I'm expecting they'll turn around.
Perfect. Finished that game off early. Apparently the waterfalls are really good.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, Pat.
There you go, Bharat Sundaresan with Pat Cummins. Brad's telling Pat to go and see the waterfalls as well. You also get monkeys. You can go and see the monkeys.
Yeah, you can.
I saw a photo of Greg Blewett giving a monkey a cuddle or something.
Absolutely.
What's going on there?
That's a little...
Real sort of
interesting.
Set in a zoo type activity. All right, before we finish the new ball for Cobram Estate Premium Australian Extra Virgin Olive Oil, just a word on the West Indies. It doesn't look like there's going to be wholesale changes. You talked before about maybe one change, maybe spinner out for another fast bowler in. What do you think they learnt from that first test that they can bring into the second test to perhaps compete for a little longer?
Well, Darren Sammy was asked about what they can do, and his takeaway was that if you can't bat for longer, then bat faster.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
That's pretty simple, straightforward advice.
That's baseball type of activity.
It is, yeah. And he backed John Campbell despite playing the shot that he did to get out. He backed Brandon King despite him getting a first bowler and all the drop catches. And look, it'll be a special occasion. Craig Brathwaite becomes the first West Indian cricketer since Chris Gale to play 100 test matches. And, at a time when they don't play enough, it's quite an achievement. And I was there at the very start of Craig Brathwaite's career. He started his career against Pakistan in 2011, 2 test matches, and then India came here to the Caribbean when Virat Kohli made his debut. So he's been around a while, has Craig. So he was a 19-year-old who just come off captaining West Indies in the T20 World Cup. In the Under-19 World Cup. It's come a long way, and he spoke I think to Andrew McGlashan from Cricket Info, and spoke about how in his early days he used to like hitting sixes, but clearly doesn't do that anymore. and Roston Chase today said all he could do was hit everything towards the onside. So the fact that now he can score through the offside is a huge get. So he's been one of those long-standing members of West Indies in Test cricket. So it'll be quite something for him to play 100 tests. And the other thing I'm looking forward to is more Grenadians. Apparently they love their test cricket.
Do you think they'll come?
They apparently don't get to see, they don't get to see enough test cricket, just 4 test matches in 20 years. And just speaking to a couple of the locals at the bar, they say it's not like Barbados. We don't get to see this very often, so we're going to come, and we're going to come in a number, so let's hope so.
I hope so, because even when you walk around town, you wouldn't know there's a test match starting tomorrow. There's no signs or flags or paraphernalia, there's just zero.
So hopefully, like Roston Chase said, and every other Grenadian I've spoken to so far, maybe Raul Lewis, who's manager of the team, can bring people in. He's got a stand named after him, or co-named after him, alongside Junior Murray. So I think so. The Brathwaite 100 test will be something to look forward to, and maybe some of the exploits from the West Indian fast bowlers might enthuse some of the Grenadians to come and cheer their team.
Well, Shamar Joseph did very well last week, and we know that Jaden Seals, he took 5 wickets last week as well. So the confidence levels is certainly there with the bowlers. It's just a question of whether the batsmen can improve on what they showed last week. Okay, that's it from us for the new ball for Cobram Estate. SEN's coverage of the second test starts at 11:28 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. You'll get the toss, you'll get all the anthems, you get all that sort of thing,
including the Grenadian national anthem. They were playing it earlier, so we got the Bajan anthem there. So the Grenadian
we did too. So all the build up to the first test, the second test with the first ball at midnight. The whole team will be part of our coverage as they were in test number 1, and we hope you can enjoy it and join us for the next, hopefully, 5 days. Catch you then.